Hi, my name is Greg Leeds. I'm the head alpine ski coach at Northfield Mount Hermon, an independent secondary school in western Massachusetts. And I wanted to just share with you today a simple design that I came up with for a boot dryer for ski boots. Of course, you can use it for anything that needs to be dried, gloves, mittens, other boots, whatever. I was looking on the internet, and there's a variety of products that are available, commercially. And I'll show you one of those in just a minute. But they're pretty expensive, so I wanted to build one from scratch. And so I wanted to share with you today the design that I came up with. Before I do that, I wanted to show you a commercially available boot dryer. This one is called the Chinook Boot Drying Systems. As you can see, it's got 8 tubes coming out of the top. So you can do 4 pairs of boots with this one. And it's just a steel tube with a fan on the end of it. It works great. So if you're looking for to purchase, if you're looking to purchase one instead of building your own, this is one I would recommend. It works really well, but it's about $375 or so. So I wanted to come up with a design that would work for our coaches' boots up at the locker at the mountain. And this is the first one I built, and it's just a basic box. It's just a wooden box. It has a single fan on the bottom connected to a power supply and 4 tubes coming out of the top. And in wanting to improve on this design for the second one, as you can see, I made the box shorter and a little slimmer profile. And this one has 6 tubes coming out of the top, so you can dry 3 pairs of boots. And this one also has 2 fans, so it increases the airflow, and they are connected to a power supply. So the basic design is just a simple box that I made out of pine, a 1x8 pine that was, I got 1 6-foot length, was enough, plenty for this project. The dimensions of this are 11 inches by 7 inches, and it's 4 inches tall. And it doesn't really need a very big chamber for the air inside there, so certainly those dimensions are flexible, and you can make it whatever you want. And essentially just cut out the pieces and glued the top and bottom and the 2 sides together, and left the sides open for these ends open for the first part of it, and then cut out the holes for the fans. And in this one, you can see I have 2 fans. They're 4 inches square. These are computer box fans, and I'll get into that in just a minute. And they're connected to a power supply, so I'll explain all that momentarily. And then, so I just made the openings with a jigsaw and then glued these in with just wood glue. So obviously just make sure you orient them the right direction so that it's drawing the air into the box and flowing it out that way. And then on the top I have 6 tubes on this one, so you can get 3 pairs of boots. Probably could have squeezed in another couple in there. It doesn't really matter how far apart they are. And these are 1/2-inch PVC elbow, 45-degree elbow pieces there, which are just glued in with wood glue into the holes that I cut out with a spade bit or a hole saw. And then I bought this tubing, which is Hydromax non-kink corrugated flexible PVC tubing. It's a 1-inch diameter, and each of these is about 40 to 44 inches long, which is what I needed in terms of where this will be mounted and the boots that will be attached to it. So it doesn't really matter. You can go with smaller diameter than that if you can find it, I guess. But this seemed to work pretty well for me. And then the only other part was these rubber feet at the bottom. These are 1 inch tall. You need to increase the total surface area of where it's drawing in the air down below here. So on the 4 sides. So that's where I raised it up, because if it was only this high, an inch or so off of the surface, it doesn't draw the air in very well. So if you can expand the surface area on the sides where it draws in the air, you get better airflow for sure. One piece I didn't mention when I was building the box is that the end pieces here, I just decided to use this, I think it's called fiberboard or MDF board, something like that, because it doesn't need to be as thick as it was on this one, and I wanted to reduce the profile of it so it just takes up less space and just weighs less. And that works great, just glued it into place. I did that last so that you can have access to the inside. And when you are gluing the elbow pieces into place, I would definitely cover over the fans if you've already installed them with just a piece of paper or something, so you don't drip glue down onto them. So as I mentioned, the fans for this are simply just a 4-inch box fan. This comes out of a computer CPU, and you can just find them in an electronics junk pile or whatever, and just pull them out, and they work great. You probably really only needed one fan for this design, but I wanted to just increase the airflow so that it would reduce the drying time for the boots. So you'll need one of those, and then a power supply. And this is a 12 volt, 1 amp output power supply. And the fans, they are 12 volt and they only draw 0.4 amps on this one. There's a very useful YouTube video that I saw out there, a fellow named Jacob Dykstra. Jacob, if you're watching, thank you very much for that, where he talks about these fans and the voltage and amperage that you need, and connecting them to a power supply, and then adapting a power supply to make sure that it works. So quickly the overview, but if you want to take a look at that, the link is in the description below. But essentially with these fans, you can just snip off the end of it and then figure out which of the 2 wires you need. I just did that by trial and error, by connecting it to the wires of the power supply. And the power supply is just something you can pull off of any piece of electronic equipment that you don't need anymore, as long as the voltage and the amperage is within the range. This, as I said, is a 1 amp, which is more than enough for multiple fans like this. So I just basically took the end off, snipped off, stripped the ends of the wires, and then connected them to 2 of the wires on this one until it worked. And once I got it correctly oriented, then I connected the 2 fans in parallel. So essentially I took the 2 positive leads of the 2 fans and connected to the positive lead of the power supply, and then same thing with the negative leads. And then I connected them with these little connectors for crimping the wires together, and then wrapped them with electrical tape. And then I put the whole apparatus sort of tucked into the bottom, secured so they wouldn't pull off. And so I don't have a switch on this, so how you operate it is simply just plugging it in, and then you can connect it to a power strip if you want, and it'll just flow, or you can connect it to a timer, however you want. So to summarize, it's a pretty simple design, pretty inexpensive. I made the whole thing for less than $70. The expensive part was the tubes, which was $40 for a 25-foot length of 1-inch diameter flexible tubing. So if you find some other sources or have other ideas for that, please put them in the comments. I'm eager to always keep improving on the design, and eager to hear what you all have come up with. So if you can come up with something better than that, great. But for $67, I think it was, I have something that works just as well as a $350 machine there. And again, room temperature air is perfect for drying ski boots. You don't want hot air flowing through there if you have custom footbeds or orthotics. Really, room temperature air does a great job in a short period of time. And this, with the 2 fans, I get definitely pretty good airflow, and it'll dry them out pretty quickly, probably in an hour or 2. In our setup, where we have it up in our locker, we have it so it'll be running overnight essentially, and I have it mounted up on the side of the locker like this, which is why the tubes are as long as they are, 44 inches I think or so. You'll see the end ones are diagonally oriented out that way, so I can line up boots here, and you can move them around as you need, but you got plenty of hose to reach wherever they are located. Hope that's helpful for you, and keep your feet dry. It'll make for a nicer day out on the slopes. Thanks. Bye.